Numbers mean nothing. Math means nothing. I have squirrels playing in my backyard. And hi, I'm Sock Marionette, doing business as Bargain Counter Argument. I'm a middle-aged lady in a tiara, counting down to Valentine's Day, except that it's Valentine's Day, and also talking about books. So many books. I've got a giant pile of books, piles of books everywhere. So it is Valentine's Day, and I did spend this morning communing with my one true love. Napping. Yes, I had extended naps this morning, and I'm still kind of tired because this project has been a lot. It's not like you're watching hostage videos. It's not like I'm not having a good time, but it is kind of tiring. So yes, I am really quite tired, and I'm looking forward to sleeping for a couple of days once I'm done. So this is the final video, and I decided that rather than doing the introduce a book, read a book, assess the book kind of structure, or approximation of a structure, I would do something a little different to wrap up. And also in preparation for this day, I got this sleep shirt. It has flower hearts on it, and it's very soft, and it even has pockets. I got it extra large because that's how I like my sleep shirts. And I got it while I was grocery shopping yesterday, so that kind of gives you an idea of where I probably picked it up. Yes. So I'm going to talk about the books I've read over the last 2 weeks, most of which I've already talked about in these videos. But some of them I want to pick up on, and as you can tell from the title of the video, this is going to be a bracket. I'm going to compare 2 books head to head until I come out with the final winner. However, there are some exceptions, of course. So first I'm going to talk about the books that aren't going to be in the bracket. First off is the one that kind of kicked this whole thing off, Meet Cute, which is an anthology, 14 stories, 14 days. Yesterday's story, which was it was by Huntley Fitzpatrick, and it was called Say Everything. I didn't really care for it that much, but today's was a very strong finish. So this is what the pages look like for today's story. You got pink bows on a red background, which really makes the doily of the day pop. And the story is, let me turn the pages, The Department of Dead Love by Nicola Yoon, and I really liked it. I am going to do a more thorough wrap-up of this book in a few days after I've had a chance to sort of sit with it. I might do it as Flip Through Friday, or I might do it as like a bonus flip through, but I think I will do it as a flip through. So, or not, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. I really can't see past this video wrapping things up. I was telling my mom this morning, I was like, I feel like I should be getting college credit for this. And it has been kind of like a college project. And that, again, I've enjoyed doing it. It's just been tiring. In that my space is really disorganized, and I'm looking forward to doing the after project. What I used to do after a semester was over is that I would just like tidy everything that I'd like kind of let slide in terms of like piles of books everywhere during the semester. I'm looking forward to doing that next week. Maybe I'll even do a video about it. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about that book any more than just to say I really enjoyed this book overall. There are some stories that were misses, but that'll happen. And today was a strong finish. So that's Meet Cute for now. And I am not going to talk about The Art of Romance, which I did yesterday in my Flip Through Friday. It's mostly images with some text. And I already did that so thoroughly yesterday that I don't feel like the need to reprise that. Reprise? That's not the word I want. Anyway, I don't feel the need to revisit that. There we go. Especially since the other books I'm comparing are novels, and this isn't. So, yeah. It's kind of an odd man out in that regard. 2 other books that I read during this time that I think I mentioned that I was reading them, and I didn't really talk about them too much beyond that. Beautiful Exile, which is book 4 in the Sparrow Falls series by Catherine Cowles, which I'm really, really liking. I have Chasing Shelter, book 5, out from the library. It's due on Tuesday and cannot be renewed. So I will be, and book 6, I don't know that the library has it. It's never been in when I'm there. So it is on Kindle Unlimited. The whole series is on Kindle Unlimited. So I may end up reading it that way, even though I do prefer to read physical books when I can. But I do enjoy my Kindle Unlimited. Otherwise, I wouldn't be paying for it. The other book I read was book 1 of the Devil's Backbone trilogy by Tate James, Dear Reader. I'm really enjoying that. I have book 2 out from the library, and the third book is on, I mean, they're all on Kindle Unlimited, so I'll probably end up reading the third book on Kindle Unlimited. But I did finish these 2 books during these last 2 weeks. I've read most of Reading the Romance by Janice Radway, which is an academic work about reading the romance. What is the subtitle? Women, Patriarchy, and Popular Literature. It was originally published in, I think, 1983 or 1984. This is a 1990s reissue. I'm going to do a whole video about this book, hopefully, at some point, and some other nonfiction books I got about romance novels and reading romances. I'm going to do that as a separate video at some point. So that's the stuff I read that's not going to be in this video. And also not in this video, I have these... I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often. I have these 4 category romances. I actually read, these are the spicier ones. I have Silhouette Desire, Harlequin Desire, because after Harlequin phased out the Silhouette side of their publishing empire, they continued to have the Desire line under that name, only as a Harlequin. So I have those 2. I have a Harlequin Temptation, a Harlequin Blaze, and as an electronic resource, a Harlequin Dare. Super spicy. I'm going to do those as a bargain counter argument after hours. Because I was originally going to do that as like a 13.5, a bonus that I was going to post last night, and I just didn't have the energy to do that. But I have read these books, and I will be doing an after hours video about them. I also had a couple of books in my pile of possibilities for this project that I just didn't get around to, and that is a Harlequin Intrigue, Hunting a Hometown Killer by Shelley Bell. I still intend to read this, just I didn't have time to fit it into this video. And The Sword Dancer by Jeannie Lynn, which is a Harlequin historical. I got this in a book exchange with the charming and talented Violet Cat. Link in the description. Check her stuff out. And so we exchanged some books sometime last year, and this was one of the ones she sent me. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I think I'll probably do like a cleanup, spring cleaning type of video where I go through the books that I intended to read but just didn't get to. Because, I mean, I still got to, I think, 12 category romances plus the spicier romances during this project. So those were just kind of backups, and I just didn't get to them. So what I'm going to do is I am going to talk about the 12 category romances that I read, other than the ones I just mentioned. And I'm going to do a bracket comparing them. So 2 books in a pair, and we'll see which one wins its bracket. And I'm going to start with my 2 DNFs. Cloud Over Paradise, a Harlequin super romance by Abra Taylor, and Tiger's Eye by Madeline Kerr, Harlequin Presents. This is pretty easy. I didn't like either one of these. In fact, like I said, I DNF'd them, but I DNF'd this one much harder. So this one wins the DNF bracket. Okay, next I am going to go with Sexy and Quirky, Anything But Vanilla, which is a Harlequin kiss, and it's by Liz Fielding, and Oregon Brown by Sarah Orwig, which is a Love Swept. I liked both of these. They were so fun, so quirky, and I really, really liked them, and it's kind of hard to choose. This one's more recent, and this one, they're just both really, really enjoyed them, but I think I am going to go with this one as the winner of this first bracket. But I'm not going to toss this one across the room. I'm not even going to get rid of it. I'm going to hold on to it because I'm going to want to reread it. So, and it has a lot of goat puns. So if you like goats and you like puns, this is a fun one. So that's getting gently put to the side, not in the bracket pile, but. Okay, next I'm going to have Nora v. Nora, Nora Roberts Sullivan's Woman, which is a silhouette romance from the 80s, versus Nora Roberts One Man's Art Silhouette Special Edition, also from the mid-'80s. This was 1984, this was 1985. I liked them both, but I have a preference for this one. Sullivan's Woman is gently put aside, not necessarily thrown across, definitely not thrown across the room. I might not keep it, but I haven't decided yet. This one, I really liked it. It was banterific, as I said in the video, and one of my commenters said, banterific is her new favorite word. I like it. And so I have to be gentle with this one regardless, because this is the one that like physically fell apart on me while I was reading it. So that's the one that wins that pairing. Then we have these two. I read two Harlequin romances. I read Pineapple Girl, and I can't remember when this was originally published. This is originally 1977, and versus Dear Dragon by Sarah Seal. This was in the Harlequin magazine flip through that I did a week ago Friday on the, what would that have been, the 6th or 7th? I don't know. Time means nothing. Numbers mean nothing. Math means nothing. This was from 1959 or 1958. It was republished as a Harlequin romance in 1964 and then put in this magazine in, I believe, 1973, 1959. So that's going up against Betty Neals. Betty Neals and Sarah Seal are classic Mills and Boon authors. This one was okay. It was just kind of meh. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was kind of middle of the road. I'm not going to throw it across the room. I'm going to set it aside gently. This one I really, really liked. I was so impressed with this. I was not prepared to like it as much as I did. It was such a pleasant surprise. So that's going in that pile. And then the only two left are Flashback, which I read Thursday. I think I was partway through it when I talked about it for Thursday's video, because it was one of those where I was tired and I was like, I did finish it Thursday, but I think the clip that I did, I was like halfway through it. And so I'll talk about that in a minute. And Breathless Surrender. These are both kind of, this one has a definite paranormal element to it. It's time travel. And this one is like, she has amnesia. She has some missing months, and she knows that she had a very strong personality change after she recovered from the accident that caused the amnesia. And then a new person comes into her life and destabilizes all of her relationships, and stuff ensues. This is the one I first read when I was in junior high or high school. I really liked it then, and it, for the most part, it stood up pretty well. There were some things that made me go, ew, this time, mostly having to do with age differences and so on. But I still really like it. So this is winning out over Flashback. This is, I want to talk a little bit about Flashback because I hadn't finished it when I did that video on Thursday. So I was talking about how she's very nostalgic. She lives in the 90s. She's an adult in the 1990s, and she goes back to 1950. So she's in 1993. She goes back to 1953, and she's very nostalgic for the 50s, even though she didn't live in that time. I talked to my mother, who was alive during the 50s, that was when she was coming of age. She was in high school during the 50s and so on. And we kind of talked about that a little. And I told her some of the things that this lady, what was her name? Sarah. That Sarah said about the 1950s. And my mom was like, oh, like she talks about the 1950s. And when she's talking about the 1950s, she says about how people don't raise their children anymore. They let television do it and so on. And I was like, this is really weird. And then shortly after I did that clip, and when I actually went to finish that book that evening, I got to this. This is, I think, on page 177. Okay, so she's back in the 50s. Now, keep in mind, she lives in this house in 1993. She goes back to 1953, where the dude lives in the same house. So she's talking to him about the 50s versus the 90s. Okay, here we go. She told him about docudramas and home videos, cable TV, and big screens. He told her about listening to the crickets late at night on the back porch, hearing the birds sing early in the mornings, hearing the music of the wind, watching the comedy of the squirrels frolicking in his backyard, which is also her backyard. And she admitted that she liked his entertainment better than anything available in her own decade. Now, I don't know about you, but I was alive in 1993, and guess what? We had all of those things. We had, it's 2026 and I have those things. I have squirrels playing in my backyard, and I have birds singing. I have crickets. I have, the music of the wind. All of these things existed in 1993. All of those things existed in 2026. So she says it's very puzzling that she's thinking, and she admitted that she liked his entertainment better than anything available in her own decade. Again, how are these things not available in her decade? These squirrels in his backyard, it's also her backyard. These crickets, this porch, also hers. So it's just, I think I called it, it's nonsensical nostalgia. It just does not make any sense. So I did finish the book all the way through, and I was intrigued by the time travel aspects of it. But again, this idealized 1950s that never really existed. I mean, the things she talks about existed in the 1950s, but there were other things that she doesn't seem to think about or consider that might have been less positive. Okay, so those are the head-to-head matches. And so that leaves me with, I forgot. I have the two books that I read as e-arcs, advanced reader copies, that I read on NetGalley, through NetGalley, and that was the I'm gonna have to like pop them in. That was the Harlequin medical romance, $1 Million Baby Doc, and I don't have them in front of me, so I can't remember who wrote $1 Million Baby Doc. It'll be on the screen. And that was the Harlequin medical romance, and Harlequin Heartwarming, her Colorado Firefighter by Eliza D. Collins. I liked them both a lot, and I'm glad I tried both of those lines, and I will read from those lines again. I just liked $1 Million Baby Doc a little bit better. Just a little bit. So they were both pretty solid reads. So they, $1 Million Baby Doc does advance to the next round. Okay. So the next matchup is going to be these nostalgic reads. Remember, I wanted to read this book because my aunt had a copy of it with her when she visited us in the 1980s. And I finally got to it, and I'm like, my aunt would not have put up with that kind of behavior. I don't know if she actually read the book or liked it, but I know that in her real life, she would not have put up with that behavior. So I'm going to compare these two nostalgic reads, and this was a DNF. This one was one that held up remarkably well. So Breathless Surrender advances, and so much fun. Next, I'm going to look at the sort of fun bantery. These are about the same length, too. We have Anything But Vanilla by Liz Fielding, and One Man's Art by Nora Roberts. Ooh, this is a tough one. This is a really, really tough one. And I think, this is hard. I think I'm going to go with Anything But Vanilla, but barely edges out One Man's Art. And just because I think there's more, I don't know, I just slightly better. But that is no shade on this book either. So that gets gently put aside, very gently, because of its condition. And this one advances. And then I am going to compare this classic Harlequin from 1959 with $1 Million Baby Doc. Ooh, that's a tough one. They're so different, but they're both good in their own right. So I am thinking that I think I'm going to go with this one because it was just such a revelation about how much better it was than I was expecting it to be. So I was very surprised by this. This wasn't as much of a surprise. So anyway, I'm going to go with that. So now what we have left is Anything But Vanilla versus Dear Dragon. I almost said You're the Dragon. Dear Dragon. Again, they're very, very different, but both very, very solid. But ultimately, I'm going to go with the one that surprised me most, which is Dear Dragon. And Dear Dragon is the winner in Still Champagne. Oh, did I compare $1 Million Baby Doc? I don't know. It beats out $1 Million Baby Doc. Again, not by much, but this is the winner. And if you asked me, a half an hour ago to predict what I would pick as the winner, it might not have been this book. I knew it was going to be a strong contender. If you ask me 2 days from now, it might not be this book. It's just the mood I'm in now and the vibe I'm rocking. So that is Valentine's Day. I think when I finish this video, I'm going to have some lunch, and I have some jelly beans, and I have Valentine's Day jelly beans. Sure, you bet. Why not? And I'm going to have like a 2-day sleep. Well, I'm going to edit the video and then have a 2-day sleep. But while I'm editing the video, there will be jelly beans. So what's coming up next is I'm going to do a bargain counter argument after hours about these plus the electronic resource. And I'm going to do a video where I talk about some of the books that I didn't get to. Basically, these two. I have some more books that are in progress that I want to finish. I want to do the nonfiction books, academic books mostly, about romance novels. I'm hoping that by the end of the month I'll be able to do a video about Vivian Stevens, the pioneering editor and agent. I'd like to get it done by the end of the month, maybe even on the last day of the month, because that's going to be a little more complicated in terms of research, background research. She was pioneering editor agent. She's now retired, and she was really, as an African American who reached very high positions in romance publishing, she was kind of instrumental in helping to get non-white voices and non-white characters out there, which was very much an uphill battle and continues to be. But I think things have improved very much in the last 10, 15 years, but still, that was an uphill battle in the 80s. So I'm going to try to do that video by the end of the month for Black History Month, because she's definitely an important part of publishing history overall, as well as specifically Black history within publishing. So those are some things I want to have done. I might do my refreshing my space after the big project video. We'll see. And I am not making promises about any of that, because maybe I'll go to sleep tonight and not wake up until, spring, March. We'll see. So thank you so much for joining me for this Valentine's voyage, especially to Kristin of the Never Ending TBR in Kristin's Corner, who has been reading the stories in Meet Cute and doing short subjects about them. Link to her channel in the description. And also thanks a lot to Sarah of Reading Category Romance for doing her own daily Valentine's countdown videos, in which she discussed different category romances that had the word Valentine or Valentines in the title. I really appreciate you guys coming with me on this. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and indeed series of videos. If you did, please like, comment, share, subscribe, or don't. I am not the boss of you, and I hope you enjoy your Valentine's Day or night.